I'm Ken Reel, CEO of the Cape Ann Chamber. Thanks so much for joining our Thursday weekly session. I think this is number 10 for us, and this is meant to be a casual and important information exchange. We usually start with our municipal leaders, and I know that the City of Gloucester has another meeting at this time, so I'm not sure that they'll be online. And then we spend the rest of the time, about an hour, hearing from you all as to how you're doing, what's happening, especially in phase 2, the reopening. Share your stories, tell us what's going on, and let us know, of course, if we can help as a chamber, if anybody on this line can help. We're all in this together, and we're all looking to help each other out as possible. So let's see. First of all, if you haven't already, and I have not yet, if you'd like to use the chat and just introduce yourself, who you are, and what organization you are representing, that would be terrific. And while you're doing that, let me turn the mic over here to our 2020 board president, Tony Sapienza, who's a co-owner of the Blue Shutters Beachside Inn.
Yep, thanks, Ken. And for those of you who are on a little early here, you heard that Ken and I have already done one Zoom meeting this morning. Ken's probably done multiple Zoom meetings this morning, who knows. It was an Essex division meeting, so we got to hear from some of the folks in Essex what's happening there, and we're talking about you don't feel like you feel people might be zoomed out, but to be honest with you, as Ken and I were sort of chatting back and forth, we really do appreciate these. These are so valuable. There's not a meeting I attend where I don't come away with some interesting insights, and that was certainly the case with the Essex division meeting this morning, and I'm sure we'll accomplish the same thing today. Someone also mentioned that summer's back, and we're definitely feeling it. I was on the call with Elizabeth Carey early this week as part of the Gloucester reopening, and we kind of shared some experiences. And at that time, I was saying that we were at the Blue Shutters and in on Good Harbor Beach. We're starting to see kind of life come back, and that was just the tip of the iceberg. Since then, we've gotten a lot of calls. We're certainly helped by the fantastic weather here. But what was really encouraging is the guests that we've had this week. They went to restaurants, they sat outside, they were so thrilled to have their favorite dishes. They went to the beach, they walked around town, they drove through Cape Ann, the things that they typically do, and they all were super thrilled. So that is encouraging to me. Let's kind of hope that continues and the positive momentum keeps building. And hope we can share some of those experiences today on this call, because that's what really gets me pumped. Anyway, with that, I'll turn it back over to Ken. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you, Tony, and thanks for your incredible support through this whole different world. Just a quick chamber update. The Gloucester reopening task force continues to meet, and we're obviously solidly into phase 2 now, and soon into part 2 of phase 2, which will allow additional relief on some of the restrictions that some of our businesses currently have. And then, of course, we move into phase 3, and assuming that the indices continue to decline, which continue to look very, very good, and all of that information is on mass.gov, that phase 3 could be the end of this month, which is really only a couple of weeks away. So that would be terrific for our businesses. It allows, for example, our restaurants to start serving indoors, and that would be very much needed, because right now our restaurants are really struggling with those that can extend the premises but a lot, frankly, are not even able to do that, and we really need to get more patrons inside as possible. So on we go into the reopening work. I'll tell you just quickly, our publications the maps are done, the guides are going to be delivered shortly, and we're intending to get those out to you all. And I want to give you an opportunity to give an update also, Elizabeth. And our new visitor center and chamber offices are really coming along nicely now, and the end is actually in sight after about 6 months. We're not too far behind schedule, but we look to be in there in July. And so we're putting together our opening plan as to how we do that, how we staff it, how we staff that visitor desk, and and probably most importantly, what are we going to do with our public restrooms? So there's a lot to consider as we open safely on Harbor Loop. And when we do that, we hope that you're going to stop by and check out the new location. It's terrific, and it's a resource for you all to have meetings in your business or community level meetings in our new collaboration space. It's going to be beautiful. So so with that, I'll stop, and I don't see Sal on the line here. So how about Elizabeth? Do you want to give us an update on what's happening with your subcommittee and Discover Gloucester?
Sure. Yeah, Tuesday, what's today? Tuesday, we had our tourism subcommittee task force meeting. And it was a lot of sharing of what the first week of phase 2 has looked like from the lodging, restaurant and retail industries. The lodging folks seem very energized and very enthusiastic, as Tony just mentioned. People are coming. They're staying overnight, more than 1 and 2 and 3 days. Some are from New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island. Many of the Beauport people are all within the region north of Boston. The loyal customers that the Beauport has built up over the last 4 years. I've been going around to each business that's opening, and we're doing social media posts. And from those experiences, the Blue Collar Lobster, it was 100% packed last Monday night. Minglewood, it was 85% packed. So those that can that open and are operating with just delightful experiences. We're learning that the customer, the lodging guests primarily, are less fearful than we had anticipated. You know, they're looking for their visitor guide and maps. They're wanting to get their comforter that was just recently taken off their bed. So, you know, I think that we're perfectly prepared for what's to come, but it is interesting to see that not a lot of guests are not as fearful as we had anticipated. We also talked at our task force meeting about having everybody do something similar to what we're doing and what the town of Rockport's doing, which is know before you go. And that is, and you can use whatever, you know, welcome kit you need, but we have a landing page that is specific to telling the visitor what's expected of us, of them in Gloucester and Cape Ann, because a lot of visitors are confused about whether we are requiring getting masks or 6 foot. Anyway, it's an interesting thing that most of us are suggesting that we educate the visitor as much as we possibly can. There's an understanding that the bars are in fact closed, but people don't know that. So we need to continue to feed information about how our phase 2 looks, because other phase 2s in other states are different. So so we're just marketing and making sure that we're letting the visitor understand what's expected when they arrive here, and that we're prepared for their safety and their comfort as well. So it's been a great week and a few days, and those that are open are ecstatic with the results so far.
Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Thank you for your terrific work and partnership. Peter, I see Peter's on the line. You want to tell us what's happening in Rockport?
Sure. As Elizabeth mentioned, there's a reopening advisory group in Rockport that's being led, coordinated by Mitch Vieira, the town administrator, and a member of the Board of Selectmen, Sarah Wilkinson, and meeting weekly, and the Board of Selectmen and Board of Health are meeting weekly. The big development this week in Rockport was the Selectmen and Board of Health at their meeting gave their formal approval to expanded premises for outdoor seating at restaurants in the downtown area, and 4 had actually submitted their plans and got preliminary approval to do that. Today I saw the DPW truck hauling Jersey barriers down to downtown to mark off the areas. What the extension is essentially in a couple of locations, expanding the into the parking spaces near the restaurants. 4 are in the first round. The Blue Lobster Grill, Hula Moon Cafe, Feather and Wedge, and the Fish Shack restaurant. Fish Shack is actually doing their outside dining on the pier behind the restaurant and developing some space there. So that's underway. And the next aspect is to try to help retailers with some kind of expanding outdoor displays where that, to the extent that that can work and still allow traffic to flow, pedestrian and vehicle on the narrow streets of Bearskin Neck and Main Street and Dock Square. So it's an ongoing effort. I see Crystal's on the call. I know another thing that happened was a sharing of, like we're doing here, among businesses of some of the positive things that are happening and the creative ways that they're marketing their businesses in the new reality. And I don't know, Crystal, I'll put you on the spot. I know you had some good news to share. The Bearskin Neck Motor Lodge.
Yeah, last weekend we ended up selling out, which was pretty surprising for us and really exciting. It was a great weekend. Everyone was really happy. Everyone was excited to be out. Everyone was really respectful of the rules. We didn't have any issues with that. And one of the things we found is if we just kind of address maybe some of the hospitality things that we can't do as much as we used to in the past, like the housekeeping, you know, replacing towels, replacing trash, but not really doing the full housekeeping makeup. What we found is if you address it right up front, if you kind of explain to them why, people get it and they're not upset. And they've actually, you know, we were kind of worried for our housekeepers that maybe they wouldn't be getting the same amount of tips because they aren't doing as much for the guests, but I think the guests realize that they're actually doing a lot more than maybe they were in the past. And so I'd say about 90% of our rooms since we've opened have tipped the housekeepers and tipped them well. So that's also nice for our employees to feel appreciated because, you know, it's probably taking almost double the time to clean rooms than it used to. So it was great for us as a business. It's been great for the employees, and I think the guests have been really happy and excited too. So
that is good news. I know that most accommodations are not seeing that kind of early response, and like even the weekend of the 4th, how does that look for you?
So that is actually pretty quiet, and I'm surprised, but you know, like a lot of what happened when we sold out yesterday, a lot of it happened on Thursday, Friday. So I think that, you know, the weekend of the 4th, I actually only have 2 rooms out of 8. Yeah. But again, you know, every day that goes on, as we get closer, I think people are starting, you know, because the 4th is usually a commitment for people. They're going for 2 or 3 nights. They're not going for an overnight. So I'm hoping that as we get a little bit closer, maybe we'll see a little bit more bookings. You know, we're nowhere near where we usually are. We're still pretty far down in July, but every day I get a new booking for June. So it's somewhat encouraging because we really thought June was going to be maybe worse than it is. It's still not amazing, but it's better than we were expecting. So we're trying to focus on those positives, and you know, we're doing a lot on social media. We're posting, we're trying to keep our posts, you know, highlighting the positives, but also like mentioning the safety standards we're doing. Cause I think people want to escape, but when they see that escape, they also want to see that we're following the rules and we're, you know, going above and beyond so they can do it. And we're trying to cross share. One of the posts that we did last week was just a compilation of different businesses that were open. And everyone, that was like the post we had with the most likes and responses last week, because I think it's encouraging for people to see that not just we're open, but that if they come to town, there's going to be many things open. So
that is good news. Thank you, Crystal. That's awesome.
Thank you.
And I just want to make one note. You just reminded me of something. We had a guest. We didn't have a full house last weekend, but we did have one guest in particular who, when she left, she says, "I want to come back in a couple of weeks." So we were fearful that people would come and it wouldn't be a great experience for them, and just the opposite. She's already sort of booked, another visit. And one other point, Peter talked about traffic. I've never been I was on Roger Street about 1 o'clock on, I guess it was Wednesday. I've never been so happy to be sitting in traffic in Gloucester. So it was.
It's so funny you say that, Tony, because the reason I keep going on and off of Butte is I'm not too far from Route 133 here in Essex. And there's quite a bit of traffic on 133 right now. And it's like, you know what? That's a good thing. It's some sign of the way it used to be. What somebody was talking about being stuck in rush hour traffic on 128 the other day, and they're pretty happy about it. So yeah, we'll take that. We'll take the traffic. Whole new perspective. Peter, anything else in Rockport?
No, I think that's all I wanted to report just now. Good things are starting to happen here. It's starting to get, we're starting to see the traffic too, as a matter of fact. So that's a good sign.
Yeah, we'll take that. Thanks, Peter. Okay, why don't we open it up? Who would like to tell us what's going on with your business and let us know? Hey, let's see. Jane, I'm going to try to unmute you here.
I tried. Is that good?
Yep, you're on. We can hear you. Can you hear us?
Well, here's a perspective I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
No?
it's a little scratchy.
I have the volume turned up.
We can hear you.
No?
We can hear you. It's a little
I'll
scratchy.
tell you just quick.
Go ahead.
Okay. Bad reception, I think, where I am. But this is just a perspective from a very tiny business. We have not had any traffic on Pleasant Street, I'm sorry to say. But I opened Saturday and Sunday, and I will be doing that with very limited hours, 2 hours each afternoon and by appointment. I had somebody walk by the gallery and he gave a huge cheer just to see an open flag flying. We had sales. I'm shocked, but not shocked, because I made the prices in celebration of opening very, very low. But that's okay. I told Elizabeth, a few sales are better than no sales. And we did have somebody make a by appointment visit. Now my gallery is only a little over 200 square feet. So I can only have 2 people in there at the same time. And one of those is me. So I leave the gallery and people have been very respectful. We had lots of people pop in. They all wore masks. And I have sanitized everything. So I'll just keep going. We'll see what happens. The Cape Ann Museum, of course, is next door to me, and they don't plan to open until September. That's a big draw. And there are a couple of galleries across the street from me that I hope will open. And then I'm interested in, has there been any update on whether there might be a block party on that July 18th Saturday?
There's been quite a lot of conversation. I'm not sure how much I want to say, especially with the mayor on the line.
Okay.
I will tell you this. We are holding on to those 3 dates. It will not be a traditional block party, assuming that we do it. We are looking to close Main Street and to focus on the downtown businesses, to focus on our retailers and our restaurants and our galleries. And so assuming that we have those, then you would certainly be invited to participate.
Well, I've garnered some support from the other galleries and the museum. We would really like to have it swing around up onto Pleasant Street. Our main question is, and if the mayor is still on the line, what would we do about closing off some portion of Pleasant Street. That's a logistic that really has to be tackled. But we've got some really good ideas about how to bring people up and around. So the big thing would be the street.
Yeah,
closed.
I'm not sure that that street can be closed, but we're happy to talk to you about that, Jane.
Okay,
Offline.
okay. All right, that's it from me.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that update. Who else would like to share? I see, okay, go ahead, Roger. Let me see, you can try to unmute it, or I will. There you go, you got it.
Okay, thanks. So hi everyone, Roger Smerridge from Roberto Israel and Weiner. I've talked to some of you before, but we're a business law firm in Boston, but many of us, including myself, are up on or around the Cape Ann area. I'm just over the Manchester line, right in Wenham, and find myself down in Gloucester and Rockport and Essex and Manchester all the time. We just took the kids down to Mascanoma Park in Manchester this past weekend, played some Frisbee, and that was great to get out and do that. In terms of the business, RIW officially reopened its office in Boston this week. We are operating at the 25% capacity threshold. So for us, that means 11 people. We're allocating spots amongst our staff and our attorneys, focusing more on our corporate and banking practices as being in the office. Us litigators are still working remotely for the most part, hence my background. But on the litigation side, we're monitoring how the court system is moving towards reopening, with right now a July 1st date for deadlines and cases to start moving forward again. Trials will still be a little bit further off, especially with the juries. Court system, we're still working on how to figure out how to get jurors into the buildings safely. With respect to our corporate clients, we are helping businesses navigate any questions regarding reopening, especially in the retail and hospitality industries. We have people who are working on those questions, employment questions, financing questions. So we're happy to help our clients or prospective new clients however we can.
Appreciate that, Roger. Thanks for the update. You know, I know a lot of businesses in the larger cities are not planning on going back in the near term. My son has actually been with me since March from New York City, and they may not open the office until next year. So interesting times.
Yep.
It's good that you guys are reopening. Okay, I see Linda. I know, Linda, you're doing some pretty interesting things at the castle, and wondered if you just want to give us an update on that.
Sure. We actually, I was on 1623 Cape Ann yesterday, talking about that. There's a YouTube out if you'd like to, anyone like to plug into it and hear a bit more about what we're doing. But mostly right now, we're focusing on the high school seniors from the Cape Ann area, both Gloucester, Manchester, Essex, and Rockport, and we're inviting them to come in to have their graduation photos taken with their families so that they can come in for an hour. It's by appointment only so that we can practice safety and good standards. But we've been taking, a lot of people have been taking us up on it, and the kids have been coming in their caps and gowns and having an opportunity to walk around the outside of the castle for an hour and just enjoy the beautiful gardens and the scenery to have their photos taken. It's been kind of a nice opportunity. And that's free. We're sharing that. We're doing it Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. And we can sneak in a weekend appointment if that is something that someone calls and requests. We're also doing our petite weddings, which is a wonderful opportunity for all those brides and grooms that just couldn't get married this year because of COVID and their venues have canceled on them. They can come in to use the castle for an hour. They can bring 9 people with them, including themselves, and just have a very romantic opportunity to enjoy the grounds of the castle, be married in a very romantic, secluded, private way. And it's been a nice alternative for many who really wanted to get married this year and have postponed their parties to have next year. So we've been able to do that. We're preparing for our opening, which we really are hoping in phase 3 that we can do in very early in July. But we're opening a number of new exhibits here at the castle as well. And I guess this time has given us a chance to get a bit more done than we normally would. So we're opening the kitchen downstairs where the Hammonds servants made their meals, and the Hammonds ate, and bringing a little bit more of their personal lives into the museum as well as the war room. We have a beautiful mural by Eric Pape. We've been told that it's the last existing mural that was done by Pape, who was a notorious painter on the North Shore for many, many years. And we've had a wonderful benefactor who is in the process of having the mural restored. That will be opened upon our opening. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's wonderful. It's an illusion of a battle in Gloucester Harbor from World War II. And it shows torpedoes, which Hammond invented, and all sorts of radio-controlled boats and aircraft. And it's really quite amazing. So something fun to look forward to seeing. So, but we're thinking of opening our grounds very, very soon. We've been a little hesitant about it because we do want people to social distance. We want them to wear their masks when they come on property. But it's just a shame not to be able to share the beauty of the gardens, which are gorgeous right now, and our ocean lawn and things like that. So, but we can't wait to open. We really are, just fingers and toes are crossed. So, thanks.
We can't wait to have you open. It is such a beautiful location and such a landmark for Cape Ann. So thanks for getting so creative. You know, that's what this is all about.
It
Getting
is.
creative, right?
Yeah, it's
We're all
been
doing
fun.
that in our own way. So, and thanks for helping out the high school kids. That's a wonderful
Thank
idea.
you.
Yeah, nice, nice.
Spread the word.
Well, who else? Yeah. What's happening on Mistlewood this week?
There's always things. I guess one silver lining for COVID, to Roger's point, I had my first ever jury duty call, and that was canceled. So similar to Linda, we are still doing our vows with a view on our oceanfront lawn. So that is a 2-hour access to our property, which you can exchange your vows. And we found out, I think in the last week or so, under the newest guidelines, because it's outdoors, if they can social distance, we can actually accommodate more than 10 people, which is exciting. I think we had our first one this past weekend, which was about 14. I think we've got a couple this weekend that are close to 20. So we're able to space them out pretty well. Of course, if there is weather, we do have our tent, which is pretty big and can still do spacing. But if you want to be in the actual house, then we do have to cut those numbers down to 2 size. But that's still an offer we've got going. We also have the Mistlewood Concours d'Elegance, probably not pronouncing that way, but I don't see Darren here. So that's our annual car show. That did go virtual this year. I'll put up a link in the chat to find more information about what we're doing with that. But the car show itself will be done virtually online. We'll be posting a lot of photos through Facebook. Still collecting all the donations that come from that go right to our Endicott College Students Scholarship Fund, which will be needed more than ever this coming fall. We're fairly sure there have been a lot of students that have been impacted. And then we are also doing, we usually do 1 big rally ride. This year we're going to do 3. So I think we have 1 in July, 1 in August, and 1 in September. And again, I'll post a link up about those. Each one will be a different route. So we're usually about 60 cars that'll go around, and that's going to be really exciting and fun. So I'll put that in. And other than that, we still got our virtual Zoom meetings. So if you know anyone who would like assistance in hosting virtual Zoom meetings, we were hoping to do it for reopening. Haven't had a huge interest in that, but if you also know anyone who's like a mortgage or real estate or financial planning, anyone who usually did like free seminars for an older group of folks, those are probably not going to start in person for quite a while, but we do have some tools that you can use to do those virtually and make them successful. So we're excited to help people with that. Any information about that, feel free to reach out to me. And other than that, I mean, we're phase 3 for reopening, so we're still eagerly awaiting details on what that will look like, and still waiting to hear from the college on what the fall will look like. And they're probably going to get a little bit more creative with some spaces that I would normally sell for outside meetings and make those into more classroom spaces. So a lot of changes, but it's good to see things start to open up again.
Indeed. Thanks a lot, Delia. Thanks for all you're doing. I'm wondering, Andrew, if I could put you on the spot and hear from what's going on with you in Wellspring and working with the kind of the local businesses to see what's happening with the job openings.
Sure. So thanks, Ken, and thanks for having me, everyone. I'm Andrew Baker. I'm a career advisor with Wellspring House. Really here today to just gain an understanding of what businesses are opening on Cape Ann, what my specific tasks, are is really setting up youth and young adults, 16 to 24 with employment opportunities on Cape Ann. So, it's been encouraging, been hearing what everyone's been saying, that Cape Ann is beginning to safely and slowly reopen, the economy here. And I'll just, I'll put my email in the chat, that if there are any job openings, for any roles, within your organization, I can definitely be a resource in matching you with some youth and young adults on Cape Ann.
Great. Thank you very much. I know you were reaching out to a number of businesses, and we're going to make that information available to all once we have a kind of a definitive list. So hopefully that'll be in the next week or two. Okay. Who else would like to say something? Don't be shy. No, go ahead.
Ken?
Yes?
Yeah, David from Beauport Hearing Care. Good morning, everyone.
Oh, I'm sorry, David. Sorry, hold on, Bill. We're going to go David first.
Okay? Yeah. Well, thanks for having the meetings. They're always informative and helpful. We as well have started to have new testing inside the clinic. During the shutdown, we did curbside services for hearing aid cleanings and checks and repairs and things like that. And we had a lot of people come up, and appreciate that. But now we're doing the testing on a limited basis. We're continuing the curbside services, but people are coming for calling and coming for hearing aid testing. So we're encouraged that we didn't know what to expect. We were afraid that people would put us at their hearing way to the end of the list after all of this, but it doesn't look like that's the case. People are coming out, and we're glad for that. One thing that I'm excited to announce is that Beauport Hearing Care was featured for the third time in an international journal on hearing health care. In the current issue of the Hearing Professional, there's an article, a feature article about Beauport Hearing Care's holistic approach to hearing wellness and some of the new products that we're integrating in our program. So I'll be sending out some kind of an announcement about that in the near future. We're excited about that. Okay, yeah, well, I'll send it over to you.
Great, thank you for that. And for those of you who may not know, Beauport Hearing Care is in Magnolia, and David and his wife Judy are really amazing. It's not about the device, it's really about the support and the way that you customize the device to the individual, and that's what David and Judy are so good at. So if you know anybody, or if you yourself are in any need of hearing aids, then I highly recommend Beauport Hearing Care. Thank you, David. David also is
thanks a lot for that.
A core member of our Health and Wellness Committee, and that's a wonderful committee that's being led by Scott Muir and Heidi Hergman. Bill, you want to say something?
Yeah, first of all, Dave, I'm glad that my wife wasn't in the room at the same time, because we all know our significant others say you need your hearing checked, right?
Yeah.
So
sometimes the person that says it is the one that has the hearing loss and the other one doesn't.
Yeah, what I wanted to mention is I posted an event on the website, or the event calendar, that the state just opened up a bid for marketing, advertising, and event planning. And it's going to be due in July. They have a hearing, a pre-bid conference on the 25th of this month, but more information is available on the state e-procurement website, combis.com, and it's under bid number PRF70. I had already mentioned that to Delia, and she's going to follow up with her people to see if Endicott is interested. I know Endicott does have an account with the state in that respect. So we'll see what happens, but I'm here to help anyone.
Thank you, Bill. Did you say you put that in the chat, or are you able to?
I can, yes, I will make it public. I put it privately to Delia, but I'll make it public. I did put something under my profile on my account that said events that are happening and you can post something. So I did that the other day.
Okay. I'm sure Delia won't mind a little competition. We're all friends.
Okay.
I'm waiting to see what the college is going to let me sell. So. Heck of a first year, guys.
Ken, I just did want to say that, Bill, it is posted on the calendar of events on the capeannchamber.com on our website because of what you submitted.
Okay.
So the information's there as well.
All right.
Anybody else? We do not need to go the full hour, but this is your opportunity to tell us what's happening. Going once, going twice. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for getting together. We're going to do this probably a couple more times weekly, and then we're going to start to go a little less frequent. Obviously, as the businesses reopen, we're focused on running those businesses, and sincerely appreciate your time this morning and all that you do. So have a great day, have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.